Well, hello and happy Saturday, April 18th, 2026. How are my favorite people doing? The folks that follow me everywhere I'm at, Student Alpha, as we get ready to do this weekend update, please like, subscribe, and follow. If you find this information and more than find it valuable to you, and if you'd share it to somebody, that'd be awesome. So let's get into it, guys. So this past week, April 13th to 17th, did anybody notice anything? What a rocket ship, known as a relief rally. But historically, this was one of the fastest recoveries in stock market recent history. It's about 7.5%. By comparison, we did 10% or 12% in April 2020, just after COVID. And then back in October 1974, we did 10%. And then August 1982, we did 10%. One of the reasons why it seems like it was a record breaker was because of the all-time high factor. Nasdaq, Russell, and the S&P 500 all set all-time highs. So if you traded the last 2 weeks, you witnessed history being one of the fastest recoveries and definitely into all-time highs. Now, this was fueled by geopolitical de-escalation with the U.S. Iran ceasefire, talking about negotiations and extending that out and the help with Pakistan. And we're talking about blockading it and all that stuff. And now, as we're sitting here it's late Saturday night, there is news that escalation may be occurring in the fact that there's some fighting over that strait. So we're getting mixed reports now. I've seen reports that Israel's predicting that the war kicks back up. So we're still in that time when it could go either way. So we're going to talk about it. But if the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, uh, oil has cooled off. Now, if escalations occur over the weekend, because we're in the middle of the weekend, then oil's going to jump back up. But we did start a strong earnings report season this past week with most of the banks reporting with strong forward guidance and great earnings reports. And then we had resilient U.S. macro data in both labor and inflation numbers. So we had a lower 10-year Treasury yield to around 4.3%, which eases pressure on growth stocks. Now, coming in the week to come, we start the big tech earnings wave. So like Tesla, Intel, Netflix, all those heavy hitters are reporting this week. So that's going to move the markets. Geopolitically, if peace talks continue and progress, it's going to be good for the stock market. But if war intensifies, it's not going to be. Um, we have the S&P Global Primary PMI data coming out on Thursday, and U.S. retail sales and consumer strength this week. I think that reports on Tuesday. Um, with the Central Bank of China reporting, which is going to affect everything globally. That's on Monday. U.S. retail sales is Tuesday. Wednesday, United Kingdom CPI data. Um, and then flash PMI on Thursday and durable goods on Friday. Now, one interesting thing that in pulling my data, uh, the Bank of Japan just dumped 330.8 billion in US Treasuries. This is the biggest single liquidation in the last 31 years. The last time they liquidated our US Treasury bonds to that rate, stocks dropped 15% in the coming weeks that followed that. So again, maybe that signals something bad coming up for Monday. One additional thing I want to say about this past week was OPEX. So we saw a lot of dealers buying buying back, closing shorts on options uh, that were shorting the market because of the potential war. Then we have the easing of that. We have a short squeeze. Most dealers or all dealers will be repositioned now for Monday. We have the Bank of Japan information that could be negative. We have potential escalations. So if that occurs, we could see a gap down Sunday night into Monday. So without further ado, let's look at the charts. Thanks for being with me. All right, now all these charts look just like this. This is your record run that you're seeing here. Now, quickly, you can see how we averted the purple line crossing the burgundy line. So the 50 did not cross the 200. So we did not have a death cross entering into a bear cycle for that for the markets with this pump up. Now, this green area was the former resistance for the all-time high. We're going to see a retracement, or if we see a retracement, the two levels I see is we're definitely going to retrace to test, 26,000. And deeper than that, I think we're going to see a 50% retracement in a lot of this stuff if we have a negative catalyst. Um, Natural give back will be less, negative catalyst will be more, but targeting this half the move, somewhere right around 24,750, I don't think is an unreasonable throwback. So the way that we did that, guys, is you run a Fibonacci through this entire run, half that move, and there's other going to be other technicals that'll fit in or match up in confluence. So if you look at this green line is the anchored VWAP from the bottom here, and that confluences to about 50%. If we run a volume at price, you're going to see the point of control. The white line is right in that as well. So that's the volume at price, point of control. So 24,750 is what I'm calling for a deeper retracement level. We're definitely going to see this previous zone that was resistance hasn't really strongly been tested since we exploded through it. Volume looked really good on this movement up, not upward movement or upward volume, which is strong support, but if it runs sideways, it's like cruise control in your car. So this is going to be kind of the theme. If we head up higher, we're going to start seeing significant resistance at 27,000. So we're approaching significant resistance here anyway before we get a throwback. The markets were overbought. You can see how, if we look at oscillators, let's check them out. For the New York Stock Exchange, 74. We haven't been that overbought in over a year. So that's the NYMO, the New York Stock Exchange McClellan Oscillator. And you have the NAMO, the Nasdaq McClellan Oscillator. It's at 80. It hasn't been that high in years. So guys, there is a correction coming, a snapback correction. So that's why I'm looking at corrective levels. So that means that we can buy indice related or adjacent stocks and instruments on discounts coming up. And we can look for individual tickers to discount as well. I'm currently short the Nasdaq and the Russell. I shorted but exited the S&P 500. So it took a couple stabs at it, but I think this is going to be the turn. If we look at the SPX, you can see there's your run. You run a Fibonacci on the whole movement, half the move, and the anchored VWAP to this run all exist right here in this. So I'm calling for a retracement probably between 67.50 is going to be your average price. And then you have your former all-time high anchored VWAP right in there. So this is the zone I believe we retrace to. On a very shallow retracement, we're definitely going to test 7,000 since we didn't really retrace it because what was formerly resistance becomes support. Upward, we might see a pop to 7,200, but we have a retracement due. Short retracement 7,000, deep retracement 6,750. The Russell 2000, same thing, guys. 50% retracement. You see, I have it in there. Former all-time high anchored VWAP sitting in there, and then the anchored VWAP from this run. Hey, tools to work for me. Sits right there too. So this zone, I pushed this price over, but this zone is where the retracement's coming. So definitely 2,700. We're going to see the upward limit. We already smacked into 2,800 and got rejected. You see it rejected off that. I anticipate a turn down. We're going to see 2,700 and then a deeper retracement to 2,600. Be on the lookout for those. Bitcoin has risen a little bit. I still have the buy zone between 50 9 and 60,000. It's approaching the 200-day moving average here. It's trapped between that. My crypto expert that works for me, who has his research analyst like I am, says that the cycle bottom will be in October at around $50,000 for Bitcoin. So keep an eye on that. Oil. Now, oil sold off pretty strongly and then pulled back. You can in futures, this there was a rollover gap because they're pricing oil in the future to be less expensive as if the conflict is over. But end of day Friday, it started to run back up by about $5 from the low of day. And now again, if there's with the negative catalyst that we're seeing about potential increased tensions over the Strait of Hormuz, we could re-enter these gap boxes. Now, resistance overhead right now is not a green box, but resistance is a red box. Resistance is about 89 to 90, 88 to 90, and downside support will be 84, although we classified it and we closed all that. But on all things being equal, the technicals behind say that this is going to continue to cool off and sell down. That close below the all-time high anchored VWAP is a sell signal in oil. I'm speaking to the catalyst might be negative and we climb back up. So watch that $84 level right there, guys, the all-time high anchored VWAP. If we run up, reject it, and come back down, that is a sell signal because oil, once the conflict is over, will go back down to probably 64 to $68, and then settle into lower prices, maybe $40 a year from now. So we'll see, but there'll be a lasting effect with supply issues in that. Let's look at individual stocks. So we look at Google. Again, I'm targeting the same thing. Ran a Fibonacci, former or the all-time high here, run. So I like a discount on this in around, we'll call it, 305 to 309. It is at 339. Let her come down, guys, because I think we have a retracement level which will affect all instruments. Microsoft did not hit my trade plan yet. That's the all-time high overhead. It did start to turn in this initial support box that we drew out. The IPO down here is an absolute buy at 315. Run it to the all-time high there. So right now, we want to see what it's going to do when it touches that all-time high. If it gets rejected, what discount it gives, or if the market's turned down, can we get back into this zone or even this zone for a buy? I like Microsoft. Just want to wait to buy it. Oklo, the nuclear thesis is looking good. We did have a death cross. It is wanting to curl back up. Our trade plan, as you can see, hit off the IPO anchored VWAP that we talked about. If you buy in this green box and then run it to the all-time high, so this is an active trade plan, and as it goes in your favor, you're going to reduce the stop loss. So we called the buy in around 58, give or take a dollar, and then run it up to the all-time high at 93, if not beyond. Now, guys, these are the way that I see it as a research analyst. This is not financial advice. Trading involves risk, and make sure that you do your own due diligence and make your own trading decisions because this is for educational purposes only. MP Metals, it's not by accident, guys, that it hit that red line like a brick wall and got rejected. What is that red line? Say it with me. It's the all-time high anchored VWAP. So we want to see next trade plan is to buy the IPO price. We are quite a bit above that. So we want to see what the retracement is off this level with volume and then see if we can trade it back up in MP materials. Right now, it didn't hit the bottom side of our potential trade plan. So we're going to wait and see on this one. BBAI, same thing. I was looking to buy it. We set an alert at 260. See if I can get a little bit lower. It did start to turn. Now, interestingly enough, if it holds this $4 zone again, that's going to be pretty good for it. And then you want to know that all-time high is at 576. But I believe we get a discount. It should be affected if the markets are affected with discounts. Pony, really in the AI sector, one of the ones that are starting to turn. This is actually starting to turn into a daily strong bias. We are still in a bearish cycle with that 50 below the 200, but this is a positive look for Pony. If you wanted to do a trade plan here, then you could buy in around this price, around $11, have yourself a stop loss to your risk, run it to the all-time high, and IPO anchored VWAP, which is those two lines that are running together at 14. I think you can wait and be patient and get a little bit better price here. We did talk about an absolute discount down here around $4 to $5, and we set that alert at 6 as it would approach that level. So keep an eye on that. QBTS trade plan has hit. We talked about this for multiple weeks. We talked about buy, 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 buy in this zone, and you can see we're going to run it to the all-time high anchor view, which we need to adjust a little bit now because it is down sloping. Even though we're in a bearish period of this, it's a great opportunity. And if you would have bought this and been in the money this much, you need to be break even, if not locking in money. So if you're locking in profit, you could be up around $17, $18 right now as it's sitting at 21. We should head to that all-time high anchor VWAP before we get rejected, although it could cool a little bit with the market. So keep an eye on it. This buy zone at $14 is still active. IonQ, the trade plan, as you can see, is paying out. We said buy around the IPO anchored VWAP, right up to the all-time high anchored VWAP. Look at this. Almost perfectly so far. So congratulations to the folks that grab IonQ. If you haven't grabbed it, wait for the rejection, wait for the market to cool off, and we will plot another entry next week for you. QUBT, same thing. It is turning, but it didn't hit our buy zone down here, right? Even if it heads up to the all-time high, it's going to get rejected. We'll look to see if the trend continues upward to buy a discount, or if it starts to fail here with the markets and cool back down, we might be able to get our entry. So keep an eye on, we have an alert set on that at $6 to begin buying. Quadruple U is looking good. It has turned. It did fail this second high anchored VWAP. It passed the first one, which is making kind of the handle. So it's actually in that buy zone that we've talked about. I'd like to see it close above that $20.81 mark, but you could buy there, and then resistance overhead at the lip of this bowl up around 27. So you could buy it at 20, sell at 27 to 28, or ride it higher. Keep an eye on quadruple U. Ego, El Dorado. The trade plan is in effect. We are riding it to the all-time high, which we now need to adjust because it's lower. It almost came to it. We might get a little bit of a discount here. Trade plan is looking good, but buying in around $31, selling around 39. If you don't want to sell at 39, once it gets up to 39, you need to go break even or lock in a dollar or two in the hopes that it breaks that and you can ride it higher. But don't take a loss on this trade. If you're already in it, make sure you're at break even. HYMC, this is a positive look because we closed. You can see we called this buy down here, which is engaged, and we said we could ride it back up to the all-time high, and it broke the all-time high anchored VWAP. So this is a good look. You need to have this at break even, if not locking in some profit. If you want to know how much profit to lock in, I would get up here around $39 if you bought it down around 29 to $31, and then we're just going to continue to trail us up to 25 or $26 and see how high we can take it. The metals. Gold's been in a nice uptrend since that deep drop. You can see that uptrend is intact. We have hit resistance at the all-time high anchor VWAP. This is the red line at about 48.70, we'll call it. Right? Volume is increasing, so it's looking good to turn upward. But keep an eye on oil. If oil drops, gold will go up. If escalations continue in Hormuz and oil goes up, gold will not break that all-time high anchored VWAP. So, but breaking 40, we'll just say getting into 4,900 and holding is going to be a very positive sign that we're going to head to 5,000, 5,100 and upwards. So that would be a buy signal. If you own it now and you want a tighter stop loss, get in there around 47.50 is what I'm recommending. Silver, the key levels on that were 64.71 in the all-time high anchored VWAP at 80, which it has crossed over and held. We're at $80.83 is a good look for that. If we close above that on a second day, that means we could start to challenge that $100 mark. So that's a positive look for silver. Platinum. The trade plan in around $1,900 has paid right to the all-time high anchored VWAP. Look at this, guys. Do you see those wicks? That's where sellers exist, being rejected every time it's touched that. That's why we run those trade plans to the all-time high anchored VWAP. Do you see how that works? Now, if you wanted to run it higher than that and you owned it and you put your stop loss right below these wicks, to allow it a little bit of breathing room to see if it breaks that. So congratulations for people who brought from 1900 to 2100. That's quite a bit of profit there. And it is looking good. Volume's increasing and chances of that breaking are pretty good. If you haven't bought it and you want to buy a signal, breaking and holding at 2100 is your buy signal for it to run higher, probably 2400. Palladium, same thing. It's looking strong. It didn't hit the all-time high anchored. It did hit the all-time high anchored VWAP, and then the recent high anchored VWAP. And you can see this first red line is the all-time high anchored VWAP where it hit it but has not broken it. We had a buy plan here earlier in the week with the groups at about 1500, 1475. It triggered and run it to the all-time high or anchored VWAP at 1625. So we're more than halfway there. So you need to be going break even, if not locking in some profit. Uh, Copper is looking great. We called a buy plan off that all-time high anchored VWAP, guys. And look at this. I said we could run it to the all-time high, but where would the resistance points be? I said 605 would be the big one. Look right here. Look at that. Look where that resistance, those wicks are. 605, right? It's not by accident that this red box is there and these wicks, but it is looking strong to break through this zone and head upwards. So congratulations to the people who bought off that all-time high anchored VWAP. If you haven't bought it yet and you get a retracement to it, that's your time to buy. All-time high anchored VWAP. Wartime thesis ones, I'm going to go through them real quick because they could be cooling off if peace is coming. LMT has dropped through a potential buy zone where we were looking to potentially buy on a discount. But again, if the war cools down, these will drop. You can buy them at a discount because they will still make manufactured goods for the U.S. military to resupply things that are missing. But we're going to look at if it continues to drop, we'll watch half the move right down here around 560 to 564. So, and then target that all-time high anchor VWAP. But it all depends on whether this is going to escalate or not. Northrop Grumman, it hasn't hit the buy zone yet, but it's coming close. Down around 645 to 650, we'll call it. If we get a discount in there and it starts to look like it's going to turn, that's going to be our buy zone. Risk commensurate to what you're comfortable with. Run it to the all-time high anchored VWAP. General Dynamics has still sold down. The interested zone, I did set an alert here at 333 to see if that holds, but I think we can get a little bit more out of it down to 325. And then an area we can't ignore is down around 315. So keep an eye on that. ITA, the iShares Aerospace Defense, uh, did bounce off that 200 EMA in our buy zone, right? Um, and then it's just kind of holding the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see how it's just prices bounce around. I would wait for a little bit more of a discount. It did jump back on trend. Do you not find that's ironic? And two standard deviations, this movement here is only 5% outside a standard deviation. So it has a 95% chance of going back onto trend, which it did do. Um, Shield, which is the global X defense, it looks almost identical, doesn't it, folks? Looks almost identical. Again, demand the discount. Wait a little bit more. Palantir, what a trade plan, guys. Holy cow. This one that I called last week for everybody. Look at this. Hard to tell. Look at that. Do you know where those dojis, those type dojis, that's what that's called? That's a dragonfly doji or thrown at key levels. Isn't it funny how I drew the key level by which that happened in? No, it's not because other research analysts that see this trade this too. So it's bounced back up, targeting the all-time high anchor VWAP. If you bought into Palantir, congratulations, your trade plan is active. Make sure you lock in profit trailing behind it right here. Next buy opportunity is once we hit that all-time high and reject and then come back up, we look at what that turn looks like, or if price drops, this zone is still valid in around 125, 126. Raytheon or RTX, failed at the all-time high. Looks like it's discounting here. Let it come back down. Next discount's going to be 185. If not, that 200-day moving average at about 179, 180. So be patient and wait on that one. And XOP, the energy one. Look at this. Through this beautiful doji right here in our lower buy zone at half the move. I like this right here. Oil and gas exploration for us is going to be good. If you wanted to buy this, you can buy in around where it's sitting, stop loss right below that wick, and then run it right back up. It's not going to hit that price right away, but that's the all-time high target. So buying anywhere around its current price, stop loss below that wick, and then trail it right back up. XOP. And then one more that we don't have listed, IGV, that I talked about to surprise everybody with. It turned earlier than I would have liked it to. I wanted to get down into this zone. This COVID low anchored VWAP held. What a great entry. If you would have bought the COVID low anchored VWAP with a stop loss, you would still be in this trade targeting all-time high anchored VWAP. I would like to see a discount. I will buy the COVID low anchored VWAP on this one. Um, and I would love to see this low, but it might not happen now, guys. This is the tech heavy ETF that has a lot of tech giants in it. And since tech has been disproportionately affected with when the markets did drop, this should be an easy or early winner. So buy zone around 77, and if we could see it 68, and then resistance at 87. So we'll keep it on it, but keep an eye, guys, on $77. Um, Kind of flew through everything there. Didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. There's just too many unknowns because literally we think pieces is happening throughout the week. Things are running, and then hitting the weekend, we had a bunch of negative catalysts that there's escalation. There's a lot of chatter between Israel and Iran, and then Iran and the United States. So yeah, can we go higher? Yeah, we certainly can, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So mind those discount levels. Thanks for joining me. Like, subscribe, follow, share to somebody you think would benefit from this. And I'll see you in one of the meetings or one of the groups that I service, guys. Have a good one.